Good morning, everyone. It is my great pleasure to warmly welcome all of you to this special session on the importance of science and diplomacy in a globalized world, organized by Tillotoma Foundation. The session is being conducted as a part of International Diplomacy course on diplomacy and Indian foreign policy conducted by Tillotoma Foundation. Tillotoma Foundation is committed to the core values of neutrality, inclusivity, and gender equality. The distinguished speaker for this session on the importance of science diplomacy in a globalized world is Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Varshney, scientist and head, International Cooperation, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. The session will be chaired by Dr. Kamakshi Wason, Chief Operating Officer and Director of Academic Programs, Tillotoma Foundation. Let me now request Dr. Kamakshi Wason to kindly deliver the opening address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Priyanka, for the welcome address. Hello, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. This is a special session on the theme of the importance of science diplomacy in a globalized world as a part of the International Diploma course on Diplomacy and Indian Foreign Policy conducted by the Tillotoma Foundation. I'm Kamakshi Wason, Chief Operating Officer and Director of Academic Programs at the Tillotoma Foundation. Tillotoma Foundation works globally in the areas of international relations, diplomacy, area studies, gender, environmental, scientific, strategic, and defense policy. I would like to specially thank Mr. Soham Das, Chairperson and Director of the Tillotoma Foundation, for his constant support and encouragement for the ongoing International Diploma course in Diplomacy and Indian Foreign Policy. The Tillotoma Foundation is committed to enhancing knowledge, promoting critical thinking, and fostering the exchange of ideas through various academic programs and research initiatives. Science policy and science diplomacy have been areas of importance for the Foundation. Over the years, the Foundation has actively cooperated with and worked with institutions, senior experts, and researchers who have been working tirelessly to promote and enhance the role of science diplomacy in global affairs. Gender equality is our firm commitment in all our endeavors. We at the Tillotoma Foundation, along with the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, organized an international conference on the evolving role of women in science, technology, and innovation and science diplomacy in February 2022. The conference saw official participation from the governments of the United Kingdom, Czech Republic, Italy, Sri Lanka, Sweden, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan. The guest of honor for this international conference was the Minister of Science, Research, and Innovation, Government of the Czech Republic. There was also high-level participation from Nigeria, Georgia, and the UNESC. The conference had the participation from women leaders, scientists, youth leaders, and innovators from across the world. Today's lecture on the importance of science diplomacy in a globalized world is an extension of a commitment to promoting international scientific cooperation and advancing sustainable socio-economic development across the globe. Science diplomacy is a very important component of international cooperation, collaboration, and diplomacy. It is especially relevant in this age of advanced technology. Science diplomacy plays a critical role in addressing global challenges such as climate change, public health, energy security, food security, and sustainable development. Through this lecture session, we aim to explore the relevance of science diplomacy in promoting international collaboration and the exchange of scientific knowledge. We believe that the insights shared by our esteemed speaker today will help our students to better understand how science diplomacy can foster cooperation among nations and promote peace in a world that faces various challenges. Globalization has brought countries closer than ever before, and science diplomacy can serve as a means to facilitate discussions and build relationships between nations for the greater good of humanity. I'm sure our noted speaker for today will talk in detail about this. I'm confident that we will have an in-depth, enriching discussion on this topic. I'm pleased to welcome our distinguished speaker for today, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Varshney, scientist and head, International Cooperation, Department of Science and Technology, Government of India. Thank you, Dr. Varshney, for being here at the Tillotoma Foundation once again today to speak on this very important topic of science diplomacy and its significance in a globalized world to our students. It's so great to see you and hear from you again. I would now like to request Dr. Varshney to start with this presentation. Over to you, Dr. Varshney.
Thank you, Kamakshi ji. And thank you, Dr. Soham Das and team Tillotoma for inviting me to this important discussions. It is always a pleasure to talk to my younger colleagues and share with them my thought on what could be something more important in time to come. And as you rightly mentioned, that science diplomacy is going to gain a lot of importance in time to come. And why, we will discuss it a little later. So before we come to science diplomacy in general, even the purpose of main diplomacy is to connect people and address their challenges. And this is how countries or group of countries or associations are working. And primarily, besides the political relationship, they are looking for solutions to some of the problems, to some of the challenges, to some of the issues being faced by their society. And these could be either health issues or agroclimatic issues or some other issues which we need to collectively address. Now, we must remember one thing when we are talking about science diplomacy, that though there are political boundaries, but for nature, it is one earth, one planet. And nature sees us collectively. Now, I'll just give you one broad example. For example, we have satellite data of India, the India as a country. And several of our neighboring countries, for example, Bangladesh lies in between India. So on eastern side and western side of Bangladesh is India. So when our satellite is taking data, it is obviously taking data over Bangladesh also. But should we share that data with them or not is a political issue. But scientifically, since we have that data, we would love to share it, especially with people, with those data which is affecting people. For example, information related to cyclones, any possible calamity, earthquake, tsunami, why we should not inform them if we are having the data. So these are the different aspects when we are talking about science diplomacy. Also, now you will see that day in and day out, a lot of new technologies are coming headways. If you see your personal life, you see how your phone has changed, how your TV has changed, how your washing machine has changed. There are different kind of gadgets. Even automobiles are getting changing. So what I'm trying to say, that tomorrow's market would be technology-driven market. And science and technology or science diplomacy must help to gain economic advantage for the country. So whatever we are doing, we should ensure that while we are doing social good, while we are talking to and solving problem of others, we should be able to develop some products which brings values to India. Not only social value, but also financial value. And then you must remember that a lot of science is being done to gain strategic advantages. And here I'll tell you about 1 to 3 agreement. Now, if you are familiar that India is a nuclear country, but we are using nuclear power for peaceful uses. We are generating electricity and other kind of powers. But we were denied how you would meet your commitment, how you will not misuse your strategic advantage. Now, for example, there is a military conflict currently going on. And the worst fear is what people are looking for is if a country would use nuclear powers. And if the country uses, we know we have seen it earlier in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and world would not like to see it again. So idea is, if we are doing science diplomacy, it should address social issues, it should address our economy, and it should also help gain strategic advantage. So what we could say that science diplomacy is a process, diplomatic process through science. And we are using collaboration among nations to address common problems and to build constructive partnerships. Okay. Now, when we are talking about various types of science, then we are seeing what is science in diplomacy, what diplomacy could do for science, and what science can do for diplomacy. I would not like to explain you in detail right now this thing. In fact, I would like you that at the end of the presentation, you should tell me what are the examples of these three types. And that would help me appreciate that you have been listening to this talk very carefully. But remember, these are three different types which we should take care. Now, how we are doing science diplomacy? We are mapping strength and weakness. Now, when we are mapping strength and weaknesses, we are seeing that what are the areas in science and technology where India is good and where our collaborator is good and where we could help that country or where that country could help us. So this is a constant game and necessarily it's a very dynamic process. Today, one country may be very strong in an area, but tomorrow some other country may take over lead. And science is a very, very dynamic field that way. So strength and weaknesses go on with time, and you need to make sure that how we are going to do it. Once we know why we are collaborating with a particular country or particular group of country, then we are developing a plan how we should develop our cooperation. So for this, we need negotiations and implementation plan, and then we need to see and monitor it if it is going on its designed path or not. In case it's not going on designed path, then it needs correction. And correction could come only if we are careful, if we are monitoring that how it could be delivered. Now, question is, who are the science diplomats? The common perception is that those who are working in the missions as science representative, science attaché, they could be consular, first secretary, second secretary, third secretary. They are the science diplomat. Also, people like me who are working in science ministries and are looking for promotion of international cooperation, they are diplomats. Or there could be a non-scientist, but who has been given a portfolio to work on science and technology. But beside these three, I would like to say that each one of you is a science diplomat if you have a curiosity to do science and to see who are the potential partners abroad. If you have a desire to develop, and you can develop rapport with colleagues abroad and develop networks. And if you can do that, even you are science diplomat. So you are not very far from that. You already have some interest in science. You can develop rapport with colleagues abroad, identify problems of mutual interest, and then you can start working on that. Now, as far as India is concerned, how we are promoting science diplomacy, these are done in a number of ways. For example, the most popular one and most common one is bilateral cooperation. Bilateral cooperation means between two countries. So India and US, India and Russia, India and Australia, India and South Africa, like that. And this is very simple because there are no complexity involved. We can identify this is the area we would like to work. They could identify these are the areas they would like to work. We can identify common problems and do it. Currently, India has intergovernmental agreement with 80 countries. Out of these 80, all are not very active. Nearly 44 of them are quite active, and remaining ones are active only when some high-level political movements are there and countries would like to show, yes, we are doing this and that. Multilateral cooperation, on the other hand, is with a group of countries. Now, these group of countries could be like political entities. Now, when I say political entities, let us take a couple of examples like BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. So that is BRICS. Now, BRICS is essentially a political platform, but we are having a lot of scientific cooperation with them. So similarly, we have got other associations like Indian Ocean Rim Association, SAARC, BIMSTEC, and things like that. And then we have regional platforms. The regional platform means that of a particular region. So, for example, India is having an arrangement with ASEAN. So ASEAN, as you know, is a group of 10 countries in Southeast Asia: Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Brunei, Laos, Cambodia, etc. And we are having a bilateral program with them. So it's a program very special. We are having a program with European Union. We are having a program with African Union. So these are some of those regional platforms. So where we would like to influence upon a particular area, a particular region, we go for such cooperation. And then we have got thematic cooperations. So I hope all of you must have heard about International Solar Alliance, which is led by India and France. There are such issues. For example, so besides Solar Alliance, we have got Mission Innovation, which is promoting cleaner energy. We are having International AIDS Vaccine Initiative. We are having tuberculosis program, open source drug discovery program. So there are scientific themes which takes priority, and then we form associations. So maybe countries are different, participating in differently, but we could do it. And then participation in mega science. So there are major projects. For example, European Center for Nuclear Research, which is popularly known as CERN in Geneva. So we are having a program. Now this program allows many countries who are members to participate in these activities. Then you can also have an example like Antarctica. Antarctica is the world's largest laboratory where no industrial activities are allowed as of today. So what happens? A lot of cold climate research is being done in Antarctica. How we could survive, how we could respond. So several aspects of cryogenic research is being done in those areas. So these are mega science projects which we are pursuing. Now, just to give you an idea that there are several scientific departments in this country. Many of them, if you can just, I can read the names: Department of Atomic Energy, Space, Defense Research, Earth Sciences, Electronics and Information Technology, Health Research, Scientific and Industrial Research, Biotechnology. And then there are certain agencies like MHRD, which is now known as Ministry of Education, Agriculture, Renewable Energy, Environment and Forest. There are several departments, ministries in this government of India, which are promoting research. But there is a little difference. All these agencies are very thematic, very highly focused. Atomic energy will focus on atomic energy, space will focus on space, defense research on defense research, earth science on earth science, electronics and information technology on the domain. So each one of them is domain specific. On the other hand, Department of Science and Technology is generic. So all kind of research could be pursued from Department of Science and Technology. Number one. Second, all emerging sciences which are not covered by any of these departments are supported by Department of Science and Technology. Third, interdisciplinary research, which is outside the domain of one singular department, that is also supported by DST. And we are called mother department because several of the departments like Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Earth Sciences, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Environment and Forest, Renewable Energy got developed out of DST activity. So you can see how science takes the dynamic shapes, and we are promoting science, newer science, interdisciplinary science in various ways. Now, just for your queries, you may see why I have given different colors. So these three departments, atomic energy, space, and defense research, they are called strategic department. And these research being done from this department is not made publicly known. Only their products could be made public. So whatever research they are doing, they keep it to themselves, and then only the final product you will see. DST, DBT, electronics, earth sciences are the departments which are promoting extramural research. Other departments are promoting intramural research. Now, if you see our collaboration map, so we are collaborating with a number of countries. As I mentioned, we are working with 80 countries. We have got different kind of programs with them, and this helps us to develop a lot of activity. These are several multilateral and regional programs also, which we are party to. Now, multilateral program, if I could say a bit more, we are working with European Union, ASEAN. So with both European Union and ASEAN, we are having bilateral relationship. Although they are multilateral group, but we are having a bilateral program. We are having program with BRICS, IPSA, SAARC, BIMSTEC, Asia-Europe meeting, East Asia Summit, and the World Academy of Sciences. So number of programs which we are offering. And also currently India is president for G20. We are holding presidency of Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. So these are two additional things which we are doing. As far as mega science project is concerned, of course, Antarctica I mentioned, but besides that, we are participating in several scientific experiments. CERN is in Geneva, FAIR is in Darmstadt, Germany. We are setting up neutrino observatory in India. ITER we are going to set up in Europe. LIGO we are going to set up in India, in Maharashtra. Square kilometer array will come in Australia and South Africa. 30-meter telescope will come in Hawaii region. So these are some of the major projects in which scientists of many countries are participating, working together, and their whatever outcome comes, irrespective of their nationality. Of course, in recent past, because of the ongoing military conflict, there has been a kind of political ostracism for a particular country, but otherwise researchers are working together on these projects. Now, these are all the platforms. The question is how science is helping public at large. And that is something we must remember whenever we are doing science diplomacy, that even whatever new knowledge we are generating, whatever new products we are developing, it should be in the interest of our society. It should be in the interest of our industry. So we need to constantly keep on working how we are addressing those situations. Now, I hope people remember us collectively because of pandemics. There have been a number of pandemics which the world has seen in recent past. The last one was COVID, which spread like a wildfire, started from one point, and then within no time, entire world was in its grip. And it was science diplomacy which helped. And why I'm saying COVID, because this is most recent, and you have seen, or you might have noticed how the world fought. So when the pandemic arrived, the COVID started, we first started preventing ourselves. So we went for lockdown, we went for isolation. We started developing masks and other protective gears. And then simultaneously, we started developing treatment. Now, those who were affected by the COVID, doctors treated them for different diseases. For example, if malaria could work, if tuberculosis drug could work, or if some lung diseases, asthma could work. So doctors tried different treatment because there was no established protocol how COVID patients are to be treated. So once we went into those different hit and trial, if I could use that word, scientifically we are calling it repurposing of treatment. We tried those treatments and then worked out. Today, as you might have seen, that COVID is again picking up in certain cities, but now we have a standard protocol, treatment protocol. Not only treatment protocol, we also started working on preventives. So we came up with vaccines. And if you see how vaccines were administered throughout the world, so there were 3 early players who developed the vaccine much earlier. They got emergency use authorization from WHO. And then countries like India, China, Russia also developed their vaccine. But since they took longer, authorization permission was delayed. And by that time, the 3 major players, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer, they supplied a vaccine to the developed world. They were not very concerned about the poor countries. Now, realizing that you are not secure against the COVID virus until anybody on the planet is carrying it. So countries like India, China, Russia, we went for South-South diplomacy and gave our vaccines to number of those countries which could neither produce nor buy vaccines from the 3 major kinds. And that is how we could address. So we have seen this vaccine diplomacy, and of course, there have been a lot of earlier vaccine war like oral polio vaccine and other vaccines. But now it is one of the sustainable development goals, healthcare. Okay, and we need to provide those cares. And India also started with polio eradications. And today I'm very happy that India is polio free, but what is not polio free? So what India is doing in supplying polio vaccine to countries which are looking for it. And until, again, like COVID, until anyone is carrying, we need to be concerned if we could get it back. Now, this is the distribution chart of COVID vaccine, which we did as a part of Vaccine Maitri mission, and number of countries we gave. This list is, of course, quite old, up to February 2021. But what idea is that we supplied to all those countries which could not buy it. We are also looking for diplomacy and gender balance. So if you see the global researcher community, in most of the places, it is driven by male. And if I give you Indian examples, we have got IIT in each Indian state now, roughly. But not a single director is female. We have got NITs, only one director is female. We have got number of AIMS, not a single woman director. So what we have realized that although there are a lot of women researchers at the entry level, but they are not climbing up the ladder. And the reason is that they get some deviations like marriage, like taking care of someone at home, or even rearing up their children, giving them educations, bringing them up. And once they get a little backseat, system gives them bigger backseat. So we are trying to correct it. And today, India hosts 70-30 ratio, which we need to improve further. And only thing satisfactory is in last 10 years, we have doubled number of women researchers. But now we are trying to bring in programs, how we could address this issue. And one of the recent programs which DST has launched, which is called Gender Advancement for Transforming Institutions. So we are asking, as you might be knowing, that in India, there are several kind of gradings called NIRF grading or NAAC grading for academic institutions. So we are trying to bring in gender issue also over there, so that if it becomes one of the parameters of institutional grading, then we could have a better gender balance in those institutions. Now, coming to another aspect where we are looking for food, I hope you are aware, or you might have read, that there was a time India was short of food grains. And that time, our Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji, asked us to keep fast one time and take only one meal in a day. And that was primarily to address the shortage of food grain. Today, India is self-sufficient, but there are issues which we need to address, and we are thankful to revolutions like Green Revolution for food grains, White Revolution for milk and dairy products, which helped us in addressing such issues. Now, you might have heard that necessity is mother of invention. And that goes true for India's supercomputer program. We were asking CRAX supercomputer from United States and for weather prediction, which we were denied. US felt we could use it for defense applications. So our Prime Minister asked Indian scientists to make a supercomputer of our own, which we did as Param. And today I'm very happy to tell you that Param is there in more than 70 countries. And it is a stamp of Indian technology, which is giving friendship to India with those countries. And we feel so happy in sharing these systems, which keeps on getting advanced version each time. And once Param was amongst the world top 5 supercomputers. Today it is not there. There are better versions than this, but we have made deep inroads through diplomacy, and now Param is serving community of 70 countries. Now, we need to see that who can get benefit of our science or our knowledge. And there is always a difference between North-South cooperation and South-South cooperation. Now, what is North-South cooperation? Between developed countries and developing and least developing countries. And South-South cooperation is between the developing, amongst the developing and least developing countries. So what India is trying to do, India is playing an important role in improving the quality of life in developing and least developing countries through various technological solutions. So we are helping them in projects like irrigation, electricity, railways, and several others. We are offering them fellowship to come and work in India so that their researchers could come, work in India, learn, and go back and further do it. We are also tying up with World Bank to develop African Center of Excellence in Science and Technology. Also, I think you must be knowing about the space corporation. India keep on launching satellite from different countries of the world. And these satellites are for peaceful uses, mostly for communication, meteorological, academic, and other purposes. We have had experience of launching even 100 satellites one go. So India space program is now being commercially developed, and we are trying to sell space launchpad to launch satellite of different countries for different purposes. Also, in the Ministry of External Affairs, there is a program called iTech, where they are attracting students to come and work in India. So when we are talking about diplomacy for science, it is to promote welfare of people, improve quality of life, accelerate economic growth, social progress by adopting common process. We would provide mutual benefit to all partners in terms of complementary research, time, utilization of existing capability, and sharing of best practices. And we would also facilitate the nation to become self-reliant and build their own capacity for sustainable growth. Now, I will quickly run through some of the challenges today's science is trying to answer. First of all is food for all. Now, I hope you are aware, we are the most populous country of the world. China is behind us. On the other hand, two other processes are going, urbanization and industrialization. And both these processes are happening at the cost of agriculture. So what is happening? At a time when we are losing agricultural land and agricultural workforce, number of mouths to be fed are increasing. So today, India feels very happy that we have enough food grains. We can provide extra food grains to the world. But if constantly we keep on reducing the land and agricultural workforce, then tomorrow we may not have adequate food even for our own population. Now, how science can play a role? We need to improve yield per hectare. We need to go for vertical farming. We need to reduce post-harvest losses. We need to increase shelf life of our food product. We need to have efficient transport system. We need to ensure that food is kept, in fact, especially perishable, are given some treatment so that they could have longer life, especially, for example, milk and dairy product, and also some of the fruits which have very, very little life, if we could increase. So there are a number of issues which we could address through science and help so that our people everyone get foods. Second thing is affordable healthcare. Now, India is home to 5-star hospitals, and we get largest number of medical tourists who come here from Europe and America to take treatment in India. But if we are talking about common people, then those 5-star hospitals are not available because they are very expensive for us. There are areas in India where, forget the treatment, even screening is not done. There are places in the hills, in inaccessible area, in rural areas, where people need to come a long distance even to get a blood test done or an X-ray done. Now, when we are talking about treatment, limited treatment is available in district headquarters. So they need to rush to a state capital, they need to rush to the bigger cities or metros to get the treatment. And of course, cost of treatment keeps on increasing. What we are trying that a lot of generic medicine could be given, which are affordable. And we are working on a lot of new open source drug. For example, now again comparing it with COVID, while India provided free COVID vaccine to our citizens, the developed world charged it. They charge $100 per shot. So you can imagine the difference and how the social dynamics works. And while it is meant on part of the government to keep our society healthy, even society by themselves also need to work on that. As a researcher, what we can do, we can find new drugs, we can find new diseases and how to screen them and how to develop target medicines for them. Energy is another major concern. Now, if you see that India is, of course, one of the energy deficient country, we started with hydrocarbons, thermal energy, then we went for hydroelectric, then we went for nuclear, but then there was social resistance, so nuclear program could not go further. We are now focusing on a lot of renewable energy. Primarily because India is a sunny country, we are working on solar energy, but then wind energy and other solutions also we are looking for. Now, this particular picture, you will find all kind of energy. Now, what our future holds, that each one of us will have houses, which will generate electricity through one or the other means. If not, then through solar or wind energy or some other way. And when we are not using energy, for example, now many of our homes are empty. People are at their workplace. So there would be very little or no consumption of electricity at home. At that time, whatever energy we are producing, that should go to the main grid. And in the evening, when everybody is at home, we could draw more than our generation, whatever is our requirement. So we are looking for smart grids where electricity could communicate both ways, not only from main grid to your home, but either way. And also which could transform one form of energy into another. Water is another issue. So of course, 70% of the earth is covered by water, but most of it is saline. Only 3% of the water on the earth is fresh. And when we are talking about fresh water, nearly 90% water is in the form of glacier or permafrost regions, which is something we cannot use. And we would like to preserve that fresh water. So what we are looking for is only 10% of the fresh water, which is available in our rivers, in some of the lakes, groundwater, and moisture. And moisture water get converted into rains, and then we have those things. But problem is, lot of India is having hard rocks, where permeability is not there. So water cannot be retained. And we are looking for local solutions. So many a place we are looking on seawater, which is saline. We are looking for issues. How can provide village level solutions for water? So we need to develop some reservoirs, ponds, bawdi, well, in each of those places so that we can have fresh water when we look for. Also, as a responsible citizen, we should see that we are not wasting fresh water, which is very little, and we should keep it for the generation next. Also, you might have seen that India is home to big melas. This is a picture of Kumbh Mela. So now, with the application of latest technologies, it is possible to manage large crowds like this. And a lot of new courses are coming on crowd management. So this is another kind of science which we are doing. A lot of improvements are there in navigations. So when we are talking about navigation on road, navigation in sea, navigation in cyber world, a lot of navigation in air, lot of improvements in navigation technology. And idea is that tomorrow we are looking for intelligent transport system where we would have all kind of information with us. A lot of new technologies are coming and we need to find solutions to the challenges which we are facing. So not only India, but number of countries are facing, and some of the new solutions that science is offering are through energy efficient building. Because if we are not self-sufficient in energy, we need to find solutions. So what we are trying to do is, if, for example, window panes could be solar absorber and they retain the heat, convert it into energy, and they can act like a supercapacitor. So then we could have energy storing electrodes, and the house would not depend upon external energy sources. It will have enough of energy for its own things. Internet of Things is driving business. So it is a kind of data play. So if you see today, a lot of things are IoT controlled. So whether you go to shops or airport or mobile devices or data center or homes, cities, everywhere Internet of Things is playing a very, very critical role. Artificial intelligence is another new technology which is making a lot of inroads. Now, I'll just share you one anecdote. You see, when we book train reservation, so the system will not allow us to book our seat in a compartment of our choice or seat of our choice. System will continuously balance the load. So it will give first allotment in the central compartment, second load in the first compartment, third load in the last compartment. It constantly balance it. But what happens when train actually moves? We get into the bogie which is most nearest to us, and that is human intelligence. So artificial intelligence is always trying to balance. That is how a lot of robotic technologies, machine learning technology. So, for example, yesterday, doctors were known only for their own experience. So, because a particular doctor has seen a particular diseased patients for n number of years, so rich experience. But today, there's a lot of data about that particular disease. So doctor could compare your case with the pre-existing cases and then could decide the course of medicines. 5G communication is improving and it is changing. So from the standard phone to mobile phone and now into aviation, it is making a lot of changes in our life. And tomorrow, we have already started talking about 6G. It would be much different world than it is today. Blockchain technologies are also trying to put us together in a chain, as the name indicates, chain. And we would have one solution which could be quickly passed on to different stakeholders. Robotics would do the things what human can't do. Now, difference between robots and human is again of emotions. So, for example, doctor is doing a surgery. He or she may get emotional. Robots will not. They will do precisely as instructed to them. Biometrics, I think all of you are now familiar, is playing a lot of role. And we are trying to identify, characterize, and individuals, and that will also help us more in future communications. Like if you are going to airport or railway station or bus station, nobody will ask your identity card, and just camera will scan your eyes and you will just walk through and it should be possible. 3D printing has started, and now 3D printing is also being done for several internal human organs, which means now if a particular organ comes into bad shape, which is beyond treatment, you could get an artificial organ implanted in your body, which will function like the normal one, the one given by God. But of course, still we are not very confident on its performance, but a lot of new experiments are being done, and people are going for a lot of implantation. We are having a lot of understanding through virtual reality and augmented reality. How VR, AR help us. For example, I have to see Taj Mahal. Then I need not to go to Agra. We could have AR, VR program on Taj Mahal, and you can feel like you are there. You can touch different parts. You can see it from different angle, and that is how augmented reality would help visual reality and virtual reality, and then you feel the place, you could see, make use, take decisions. In fact, a lot of security people are using it to decide that how a particular building, particular instrument, or particular device could be protected. And then drones are there, which are making a lot of change. And in fact, tomorrow, all delivery market would be controlled by drones. So we have got now drones which can carry certain equipment like camera. They can carry weight up to 10 kg. They can reach desired place, desired directions. Of course, there are some regulations which are required in different countries for its operation, but they are going to be game changer in time to come. So what we are trying to say, there are a lot of sustainable development goals, which you might have read, which includes zero hunger, zero disease, water for everybody, like that. And scientists and diplomats have to collectively work together and make sure that the global community could achieve those goals. So science diplomacy may be considered as a soft tool which addresses societal challenges and help shape each one of these words for the better tomorrow. We speak the same language, irrespective of our culture or trust or political animosity between the governments. Science can be a tool in the hard power arsenal. Instead of stimulating connectivity, science can be targeted by sanctions that makes collaboration difficult or possible. So with this, I would like to close, and I could be reached anytime. I would be happy to take some questions even now today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Varshney, for your detailed and fascinating address on science diplomacy. You cover diverse subject areas like bilateral and multilateral science diplomacy, mega science projects, strategic scientific innovations, pandemics and public healthcare challenges, vaccine diplomacy, South-South and North-North scientific diplomatic cooperation, sustainable development, Internet of Things, 3D printing, virtual reality, drones, etc. You also talked about the role of science diplomacy in helping the public and the society at large, as well as to combat societal challenges. Lastly, I would like to commend your thoughts and observation on this very important topic